We will move to our next session. Uh, we will have it with a very energetic speaker and with diversified and great experience in the field of clinical research. She will share with us her session about the clinical trials, career, and passion. She has more than 16 years of experience, and she got her PharmD and clinical, preclinical, and clinical degree and masters also. She has some background in leadership, health leadership, and management. She has a lot of publications. She contributed to a lot of clinical trials. I believe this would be very enjoyable for clinical research, people with clinical research interest, and also for all of us because she is very energetic. So please welcome with me Dr. Salma.
Hi, Rafa. Thank
Hi,
you for this great
I'm
introduction.
so excited for your session. And please, the floor is yours. Um,
Thank you so much. Today, I'm here to talk to you about, like they said, my passion, the clinical research. Just I will start with a small overview about my experience so far in this field. My background is pharmacist. I had a pharmacy degree from the pharmacy faculty in Tunisia in 2005, and in parallel I did register in a master degree in France for preclinical and clinical research. I did it by chance because at that time it was requested that I have a validated master one degree. So, because I was trying to have cosmetology degree, so I took this one by chance. Finally I end up working mainly with this degree. So I wanted to tell you this because really I started in this field purely by chance during, unfortunately, back 15 or 16 years ago, when we are taking pharmacy um, education, they are not covering this topic, and I think it's too bad, really too bad, because any pharmacist has a great place here, and they can find a great career on it. So this is how I started on it, to be fully transparent with you, and now I'm going to take you um, in this career, and feel free to ask any question, of course. So today, we are going to review together what is clinical research, a brief introduction, then what is the path of clinical development, the market of clinical trials, the expected industry growth, why to choose a career in clinical trial, the industry you can work for. Of course, I listed those in GCC, and I take a focus in the entry level work position, which is clinical research associate. So, when we say clinical research, what is a clinical trial? Per ICHGCP, and let me tell you why I put here this reference, just to tell you that this field is very well regulated. Like, for example, when you are working in manufacturing drugs, you have the GMP, the Good Manufacturing Practice. In clinical trial, globally and worldwide, we refer to good clinical practice. So this is our reference everywhere, and it means that, like my Dr. Hayat was saying, if you start a career in clinical research, you can expand your experience everywhere if you have opportunity, or for example, if you want to relocate. I can tell you, as based on my experience, I started working in France, then moved to Tunisia. From 5 years, I'm back in France, but now I'm covering almost 40 countries, including Africa and Middle East. So, because the basics are the same, and this is really important. We are talking here about a field that can be exported, which is really great, with a great also exposure. So, per this regulation, a clinical trial is an investigation in a human subject, and this is how we say clinical. The word clinical mean human. Before testing in human, we start the preclinical in animals. And the intent of this clinical trial is to prove the efficiency and safety of a drug or a procedure, sometimes a medical device, because we can test various things. It's not only a drug. We can test, for example, medical device sometimes. So this is, uh, in few words, what is clinical research. Usually, the for any new discovery, the drug should follow this path. We start with preclinical, it's lab and animal studies. Then we have the phase one. Phase one, usually phase one trials. Usually we conduct them in limited number of people. We start usually, except in oncology, in healthy volunteer. Then, if we have we usually the target of phase one is to select a range of doses, and also to confirm that there is no toxicity, that we can test this drug and take it to a human being. If the result of phase one are satisfactory, we move to phase two. So every time we move from a phase to another, we increase the number of tested subjects. So phase two, we will start with, for example, 3 doses. We will test them and again check the efficiency and toxicity. It's always important, efficiency and safety, because what we want to prove through clinical trials is the balance benefit risk. It's not only that the drug is efficient, but also we can't get the patient exposed to higher risk than the one he's having through his disease. If again the phase two result are confirms our assumption, we go to phase three. And here, sometimes in some indication, for example, vaccination trial, we can enroll something like 10,000 patients. And really, yes, the number here became huge. Here we have the marketing authorization. If, of course, again, we have a confirmation that the drug is efficient, we met our endpoint, everything is working well, there is no safety concern, we obtain here at the end of phase three the marketing authorization. And however, you can say, so it's over, your job is done. No, clinical trial continue even after marketing authorization. And this is how we see sometimes some drugs that are no more available in the market, because here really, when the we will in phase four post marketing studies, we will be able to collect the real life data and meaning, because in all these previous phases there were eligibility criteria, meaning we are excluding patients that had a lot of disease, or so there is was this kind of filter. From here, we are going the drug is going to be used by many patients with different profile. So sometimes it happens that we discover lots of side effects. Usually this whole process takes something like 10 to 15 years. However, recently with the COVID, we discovered that this the whole process is taking few months. This means that we might still discover some additional side effect, or know more about the efficiency of the currently available vaccine. But overall, these are the steps and different phase of clinical trials. Now let's talk about the market. In clinical research, we all refer to a global database named clinicaltrial.gov. Anyone, it's a public domain, you can access it, and you can see live the number of clinical trial running per region. So from this picture, we can see that in Middle East, we have almost 19,000 trial, more than Africa, for example, which is really great because it's a smaller region. However, we still have a long road to take to be to the level of Europe, but we are improving, which is really great. And I will tell you now the different factor that shows that this market is going to have an increasing needs, and why it's worth to consider it. So already based in the market data forecast, they expect that um, the clinical research market in Africa and Middle East, unfortunately, there is no data just for Middle East, it is combined one, will reach $2.10 billion in the next 5 years, which is really great because they expect an annual increase 7.55%. So it's clearly a new opportunity for investment. Then what can will contribute also to this growth factor? The patent for most top-selling drug are expiring. Also, we are using more and more digitalization, meaning we can work remotely, we can implement some trial like now real world evidence trials. We can do many things that are not linked to the region where we are based. And as I told you, I'm based in France. However, I'm turn it entirely to Africa and Middle East. We don't have operation in where I'm located. We will need, and we already currently there is a huge need for highly qualified and skilled workforce, and you are really here. We need you here. Um, in parallel, what we are seeing is that the government, we can see, for example, in Egypt, in UAE, in many countries, they are working in revising existing regulation because, of course, we can't test drugs in people if there is no strong regulation in place. Any clinical trial start by seeking ethic committee and the Ministry of Health approvals, and these steps might take sometimes even a year because it's really important. It's not a joke here. It's testing in human. So this is why it's important that there is strong regulation in place to protect the patient, because this is the ultimate goal of our work. Of course, we need to work, we need to have a proof that the drug is efficient, safe. However, our ultimate goal altogether is to maintain the safety of the patient. Then the other growth factor is that there are many clinical research organizations in our region that can carry out clinical trials. Plus, with this pandemic, yes, definitely there are many drawbacks coming due to this pandemic. However, there are some positive aspects because this pandemic bring lots of clinical trials to our region, especially now because unfortunately or fortunately in developed countries, the vaccination campaign progressed so much that there is no further room to run additional clinical trial. So we see a huge wave of sponsor coming to our region because they have potential COVID-19 vaccine. They need to test them. Of course, no one can sell a drug without efficiency and safety evidence. So we are seeing an increasing attention in the business coming to our region really suddenly. So why to choose a career in clinical trial? Already for it's only not only for pharmacists but for anyone, really for anyone taking part to this great field. They get first-hand experience with the most recent drug, really, because especially, for example, based on my experience, I worked a lot in research and development phase, meaning before the marketing authorization part of the drug. So uh, we know what is coming, and sometimes we miss already what is exists in the market because we are so involved in the new drug, for example, the gene therapy. From some years now we are working with gene therapy, so we know what I worked also in the oral anticoagulant. It when people used to get this in injection. So really, sometimes you want to tell people just stay patient, stay connected with us. Things are improving. Just we need to finish the steps of trials because of course we can't jump in some steps, but we see what is coming next, and this is really exciting. They get global recognition and exposure working on the same platform as other international experts. Yes, this is really what makes our work interesting, and because we are working like the whole world is one nation. Really, you start the day, you have calls with Australia, USA, China, Europe, of course, Africa. So it's just sometimes we find 5 minutes time to say where are you located, and you hear sometimes you need to Google some location because you don't know even where is this location. And this is really great if I compare it to some other career in the pharma. There are also great, but you don't have this kind of exposure. And this exposure means also that you can jump to this other location because you worked with them, you understand how, and you see that it's the same requirement. The difference is just the country regulation that you can easily understand through some kind of taking training. uh, Doctors mainly, or sometimes pharmacists, if they are allowed, because it's important for any trial. There is a sponsor. Here we are talking about the pharmaceutical company that is testing the drug. They can do publication. The clinical research profession climbed the ladder toward managing trial reasonably quickly. Yes, because I put here an example. For entry level, they can start an administration, clinical trial assistant, or even in our region, entry level, they can be already clinical research associate. Where I'm working in at MCT CRO. MCT is the leading CRO in Middle East and Africa. We are covering more than 40 countries, and we did conduct more than 200 trials during the last 12 years, and we are hiring regularly fresh graduate profession. Professional. We are training them, and they start as clinical research associate in, let's say, 3 years. For a good performer with the right attitude, because attitude is important also, they can become senior clinical research. And from this step they start doing coordination, meaning they start doing project management activities. So really, I can say in 5 years, yes, you can start having a team to manage, and really in at international level, and with exposure in multiple countries. Other reason why to choose career in clinical trial: clinical research is a field that take you beyond the desk or lab jobs and offer plenty of career prospection. um, Really, a clinical trial, you have a department for data management for those who are fond of data. um, there is part of organization. Yes, if there is a skill that is really important to progress in this field, is organization, self organization, how to manage your time, how to manage your priorities. You need to be detail oriented. It's really important. Again, the knowledge will come. You will read books, something, get training in any organization you will join. They will train you, of course, it's mandatory. However, what we cannot change is the skills of the person, his nature. It's really important that the person joining this field, they are, as I told you, detail oriented. They are very well organized, because otherwise the load is so heavy. If they don't have a minimal level of organization, they will be just lost. And really, this field, you do it if you like what you are doing, or you can't survive, because it's about the patient again, patient safety and well-being. So and patient health never stop. Even during weekend, at night, we can have a serious adverse event at any time. We need people fully dedicated. It doesn't mean we are working 24 hours 7 days, but you need to like what you are doing, that you enjoy it outside this high volume of calls, emails, all this admin work, because we are doing lots of admin work. The clinical research associates, they travel frequently, sometimes in the country, sometimes outside the country. If you want to do this and stay highly motivated, you need to have some this kind of skill. And also, be a little bit optimistic because if you see any issue coming as a mountain and it's, oh my God, how I'm going to do this, you will collapse. So it's really important. Let me continue here about the different departments. You can work in economy. You have, for example, pharmacoeconomy, monitoring, meaning checking the data in investigational side, the pharmacovigilance, like what Dr. Hyatt was introducing. We have, of course, in clinical research, a huge part of pharmacovigilance. And you can remember how many times I said so far the safety of the patient. So these are an example. There are others, of course. It depends on the size of the organization, but really, for example, I saw people starting in the clinical research as associate part, meaning clinical operation, but they didn't like it that much. So they moved to, for example, budgeting, working in contract, or they joined the regulatory unit. So you can have this opportunity along your way, to deviate or to go for a specific department that you will enjoy more, or you will get additional responsibility. This is possible. It's not like in sales, for example, you will be always doing sales work. No, in clinical research, the portfolio is that large that yes, there are true opportunities. Plus, what I enjoy the most is this one. As I told you, I'm working in this field from now 16 years, and every day I'm still learning, taking training, validating curriculum, which is really great, meaning you remain all the time up to date. Even if you are 70, 80 years old, you still need to take training, and this is really great. You are not just trying to struggle to remember what you learned when you are were in the school. No, this is really obsolete from the first year. You just need all the time to get the refresher, and really, this is rare. So, here I'm covering the industry you can work for, and there are several type. The picture here shows the data. I'm sure it's from USA because unfortunately in our region we don't have many journal that are doing such a survey, but it can show you that yes, you can work in clinical research, academic institution, on pharma, in clinical research organizations. This is structures that are purely dedicated to clinical trials. They are service provider. In research sites, some other, it can be NGO, non-governmental organization, which is really great. In Africa, for example, we have several NGO, like we have the DNDI, Drug for Neglected Disease organization. It's really great one, doing an amazing job. If for clinical research organization, of course, I couldn't not list my company MCT. We have also IQVIA. This is the first in the world, and they are represented also in our region. We have this another company called it CTI now, because they previously they were Clean Art. Now they are CTI. We have also a great company in Saudi Arabia, PDC. In terms of pharma, I think most of the big pharma, they have clinical research work, but I can't hide that more and more they are outsourcing their work to that one. Because they want expert deliverable, and when you work with a service provider, you can have you can be more strict, and also you don't have to hire yourself. They will do the whole job for you, and it's a win-win situation, let's say. So this is kind of industry you can work for. Then, just to end this presentation, I wanted to focus a little bit in the entry level, because I know that most of you are still in attending your uh, education level. So, what are the duties and role of a CRA? The clinical research associate ensure compliance with the trial protocol, check clinical site activities, make on-site visit. As I told you, this in GCC usually we have teams located in Dubai, but and they will they travel to Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar. So we handle this region like one big country. But in other country, for example, in North Africa, CRA, they just cover their country because they are they have a big coverage. Perform investigational product accountability, and as you can see here, this is really about the drug and pharmacy work. Communicate with the clinical research coordinator, review case report form, assure the protection of the right, safety, and well-being of the subject. This is the main and ultimate goal for our work. Ensure that the scientific integrity of the data collected is protected and verified, assure that adverse events are correctly documented and reported. So, this is the main duty of the CRA work, and it starts usually a clinical trial start with the feasibility of the trial. Can we do this trial in the country? Yes or no? It depends on existence of a regulation, the pool of patients. For example, if we work in rare disease, we need to find that the disease exists. Sometimes some disease they don't simply exist, which is really good for the population. Qualified resource also it's important, and the timeline to start the trial. So if we succeed to confirm all this assumption during feasibility, we go to recruiting investigator are the doctor that will test this drug. And once the doctor are recruited through this pre-study visit, meaning the series attend the site to assess its capability to run the trial. If it is confirmed and we got all um, approval here, I mean regulatory ethic committee approval, we start with initiation visit. Then the CRA will continue doing routine monitoring visits. Sometimes it can be every 4 weeks, every 6 to 8 weeks. It depends on the monitoring plan. And at the end of the trial, the CRA will conduct closeout visits. So overall, this is the main duty and the process that we follow on each trial. And last thing is just really whatever your choice here after this great summit, please try to find something you love to do, and you will never work a day in your life. Really, I had the chance to be in this case, and this is the list that I wish to all of you, because it's really important. Our education give us a strong background. We have this multitasking. We as a pharmacist we can understand and adapt to many fields, but just try to find the one you are made for, and you will enjoy it and progress. And thank you.
Thank you so much for the lovely advice and the great session, Dr. Selma. I enjoyed it a lot, and I believe the audience has enjoyed it a lot as well. We have one question
Yeah.
regarding the qualification to be a clinical research associate. You have mentioned some traits and that healthcare professionals, pharmacists, nurses, doctors all
Mhm.
can be there. However, if you would like to add something.
Really, for entry level, there is no specific requirement, just motivation and attitude. People are advised to check, Google it, try to understand, try to read a little bit this ICHGCP to understand what it is about. And if you are convinced you want to start on it, just apply. There is all the time regular posting and opening for this field.
Perfect.
But
Perfect. Thank you.
because if I can say, in Europe there are schools or dedicated training for this clinical research work. For example, it's a 2 month courses followed by 6 month internship. Previously, I remember something that cost something like, I don't know, maybe 5,000 euro for 2 months. Now maybe it's more. Uh, in my time, I didn't have to do it. When
Mhm.
I was requested to do it, I always said, no, I'm a pharmacist. I know what it is a drug, and I know that I have the right skills. I escape it to it, but I don't know if it's still possible. I know that some of my friends in, for example, in Egypt, there are some master degree in clinical ethics.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in Egypt. There is also something that is helpful that is run by the University of Washington. I did it. It's a master degree that is done purely remotely called Leadership and Management in Health. Really search for it. You can join as a group of 15 person. The group will pay $1,000 altogether. So this is, I
Mm-hmm.
did it in 2015 with a group of health professional in Tunisia, and we
Mm-hmm.
have now, all of us, we have a diploma from USA without moving there. And it's really great because it introduces you to project management. So just search
Yes.
for it. If you can't find it, I can share with you the link. It's really great. And they have also some topic about HIV management, how to run epidemiology trial. Many, they have many topics. It's not only
Mm-hmm.
about management, and the content is really amazing.
Relevant.
It's done in 10 weeks, and the way they do it is really great through video, through chat. It's not just you listen, and then you just to answer question. It's not like this at all. Already
Yes.
when you take it, you learn how to build a project.
Perfect. Perfect. And it like equip the participant with most of the required maybe traits and
Yeah.
qualifications.
Yes,
Yes.
and it can apply to all fields. Project
Mm-hmm.
management, if you manage a project, and I'm always saying I can even sell potatoes now, so it doesn't matter because
Yeah,
it's the same
leadership
rules.
management. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. That's very nice. Thank you for the advice and thank you for the great session. It was very
you're
nice having
welcome.
you with us today. We are glad and hopefully we meet you soon. Uh,
Hopefully.
I wish you a very nice day. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you. Bye
Have a
bye.
great day. Bye.
Bye.